our biggest problem. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. But there's a lot of good, capable people working on it with us, and our teams are working very well with the state representatives. We're also doing some very large testings throughout the country. I told you yesterday that in South Korea, and this is not a knock in any way, because I just spoke with President Moon. We had a very good conversation about numerous other things. But they've done a very good job in testing. But we now are doing more testing than anybody by far. We do more in 8 days than they do in 8 weeks. And we go up on a daily basis exponentially. So it's really good. By the way, while I'm on it, I also spoke with Prime Minister Abe of Japan last night, and I congratulated him on a wise choice. I think it's going to be a fantastic Olympics 2021. I think it's going to be a fantastic Olympics. It was the absolute right decision to delay it for a full year and now have a full, beautiful Olympics. It's going to be very important because it's probably the first time, maybe ever, or certainly in a long time, that it was on a odd year. It's always on an even year, they tell me. But he's going to have a fantastic success, and now they'll have even more time. He didn't need any more time. Everything was perfectly ready. What a job they've done. But Japan, I want to congratulate Japan, the IOC, and Prime Minister Abe on a great decision. I think it's going to be a fantastic Olympics. I told him I'll be there. I'll be there. As we fight to protect American lives, we're also protecting American livelihoods. Democrats and Republicans in the Senate are very close to passing an emergency relief bill for American workers, families, and businesses. This legislation, in addition to the two bills I signed this month, it includes, as you know, sick leave, and we have all sorts of things in for the workers, for families. But we have a tremendous paid sick leave provision for workers at no cost at all to the employers. And that's a big thing, no cost to the employers. We want to get everybody back working. Together, this $2.2 trillion legislative package is bigger than anything, I believe, ever passed in Congress. Perhaps, relatively speaking, if you go back, look during the FDR New Deal days, there was something that if you time value it, you could say it was bigger. I don't know. But this is certainly, in terms of dollars, by far and away the biggest ever done. And that's a tremendous thing because a lot of this money goes to jobs, and families. The Senate bill, as you know, includes $350 billion in job retention loans for small businesses, with loan forgiveness available for businesses that continue paying their workers. They continue paying their workers. That's what we want. We want them to keep their workers and pay their workers. This will help businesses keep workers in the payroll and allow our economy to quickly accelerate as soon as we defeat the virus. $300 billion in direct cash payments will be available for every American citizen earning less than $99,000 per year. That would be $3,400 very quickly for the typical family of four. Nothing like that's ever been done in our country. Up to $250 billion in expanded unemployment benefits. The average worker who has lost his or her job will receive 100% of their salary for up to 4 full months. Unlike normal unemployment benefits, independent contractors and the self-employed will be eligible. So you have independent contractors and self-employed people will be eligible for this. Over $100 billion to support the heroic work of our doctors, nurses, and hospitals. They've been incredible. $45 billion for disaster relief fund. So we are setting up a fund of $45 billion for disaster relief. That's more than doubling the amount available to support my national emergency and disaster declarations. It's a doubling up. $27 billion to build up the strategic national stockpile with critical supplies, including masks, respirators, pharmaceuticals, and everything you can imagine, because it was very depleted, like our military was depleted. Now we have a brand new military, Never had a military like this. We have equipment either coming or it's already come. For the most part, it's already come, but we have a lot of things that will soon be coming. Planes, missiles, rockets, lots of things. But the stockpile was very depleted, like everything else. This will also include significant funding for the development of vaccines on top of the $8 billion we approved several weeks ago. Over $500 billion in support for the hardest hit industries, with a ban on corporate stock buybacks, which is something I insisted on. And frankly, I tell you, the Republicans wanted that and the Democrats wanted that. We want them to use the money for the companies and the planes or whatever they may be helping to get over this rough patch. And I don't think it's going to end up being such a rough patch. I think it's going to, when we open, especially if we can open it, the sooner the better, it's going to open up like a rocket ship. I think it's going to go very good and very quickly. And you're going to have some tough new limits on executive compensation also. They need the money. They're going to have to sort of just make things work, because we're interested in the workers, the jobs. And we're interested in the companies, because that's really what fuels the workers in those great jobs. And we also have $16 billion in funding for the purchase of personal protective equipment. You know about that, such as masks and respirators through the Strategic National Stockpile. I encourage the House to pass this vital legislation and send the bill to my desk for signature without delay. I will sign it immediately. We will have a signing, and it'll be a great signing and a great day for the American worker and for American families, and frankly, for American companies, some of which were having the best years they've ever had these last few years. And then a little bit less than a month ago, they went into a position that they haven't seen because of the hidden enemy, the virus. Earlier today, I spoke to the leaders of many of America's amazing nonprofit organizations. I thank them for their unwavering devotion to American people, to American families, to our nation. And they have been fantastic. They've been collecting supplies, distributing food, supporting healthcare workers, caring for vulnerable workers and families. I encourage them to continue to do it. But I'll tell you, the nonprofits have been fantastic. They've been great. They're great people, actually. I know a lot of them. Finally, I want to provide a brief update on the critical supplies. Through FEMA, the federal government has delivered or is in the process of shipping 9.4 million N95 respirators. Think of that, 9.4 million. 20 million surgical masks, and we have others that we think are going to be delivered pretty quickly. The whole world, you know, it's not just us, it's not just the states. The whole world is trying to get these things, so in competition with many, many countries. I believe today you broke the 150 mark for the virus. We have 150 countries, over 150 countries where you have this virus. And nobody would ever believe a thing like that's possible. Nobody could have ever seen something like this coming. But now we know, and we know it can happen and happen again. And if it does, somebody's going to be very well prepared because of what we've learned and how we've done. It's been incredible how we've done. Remember, there's more tests than anybody by far. And the news, the reporters, the media always likes to bring South Korea. They called me and they told me, it's amazing, your testing procedures are amazing. Plus, we have a test that's a very high-level test, and it's a test that's very accurate. 3.1 million face shields, 2.6 million surgical gowns, 14.6 million gloves, and almost 6,000 ventilators, which go to the areas of greatest needs. We sent, over the last day, 4,000 ventilators to New York. And I spoke with the governor about that. He was happy. I spoke with the mayor also about that, Mayor de Blasio. He was very happy. It's hard not to be happy with the job we're doing, that I can tell you. Throughout this national emergency, everyday heroes continue to step forward and demonstrate the extraordinary character of our nation, including the people behind me. By the way, these people are amazing. They are amazing people, and they become I don't know, maybe I should just speak for myself, but to me, they become friends. Maybe they don't like me. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do. I don't know. All I can tell you is they're talented people. They work very hard. In Maryland, a 7-year-old boy used his own birthday money to buy meals for dozens of senior citizens. In Nevada, a college student recruited 90 of her friends to help deliver groceries and supplies to the most vulnerable. This is happening all over the country, thousands and thousands of instances. I could stand up here all day and tell you about other things. In Minnesota, hundreds of medical students have volunteered to provide child care for hospital workers, helping to keep our doctors and nurses on the front lines, fighting to save lives. These inspiring Americans remind us that we all have a role to play in winning this great national battle, and it's really a worldwide battle. We're dealing with other nations all the time. The people here are, I am a little bit, I take calls from a lot of people. They're in trouble. A lot of countries are in big trouble. So now we will hear from our great Secretary of the Treasury. He's been working rather hard, I will tell you. Steve Mnuchin is a fantastic guy, and he loves our country, and he's been dealing with both sides, Republican and Democrats. He sort of lived over in that beautiful building. It's a very beautiful building. To me, one of the most beautiful buildings actually in the world, and he's gotten to know it, Steve, very well. So if we could have a little update, Steve, would be fantastic as to how we're doing and what it's looking like. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
We're going to continue to monitor the president's news conference from the White House as Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin is about to address the reporters that have gathered there. We're going to continue to live stream this on KSAT.com, but we want to get to some local news right now.
Yeah, you won't miss anything. We'll get back to it if they are announcing something you need to hear. Meantime, President Trump issued today a disaster declaration for the state of Texas.
Governor Greg Abbott actually made the announcement today, saying it will help Texas better respond to the virus by opening up federal funding resources for public health and safety.
As of this afternoon, there have been more than 13,200 tests administered across the state for coronavirus. More than 970 of them had a positive result, and there have been 12 deaths reported. Here in Bexar County, the number of positive cases as of yesterday was 69. Metro Health's last update shows 1 death, but we have learned of a second death just last night.
We are continuing to see more cases pop up in surrounding counties as well today, as we learned a patient who tested positive for the virus actually traveled through San Antonio International Airport before driving home to Del Rio to self-isolate. This is the first positive case in Valverde County. It's unclear what day the patient was actually at San Antonio's airport. The city of Del Rio said on Facebook it would be providing an update today. We're going to continue monitoring this story for any new information.
We have also learned that the last group of cruise ship evacuees at JBSA Lackland have been released from their 2-week quarantine. More than 380 Americans were housed at JBSA Lackland since February. Among the last 3 groups, at least a dozen tested positive for COVID-19. The Department of Health and Human Services says all patients have been medically cleared. Stay home, work safe. Those orders have taken effect in the San Antonio area. And as of midnight last night, people across Bexar County were supposed to be staying home unless they're running certain errands or working at some exempted businesses.
Garrett Berger's been talking to the city and county about how they're going to enforce all of this. He joined us live. Garrett, how could people be punished if they're doing something they shouldn't be doing?
Well, it's a great question. You could get fined up to $2,000 if you violate the city's order, and the county's order carries penalties of up to a $1,000 fine or even 6 months in jail. But officials from both San Antonio and Bexar County say they aren't looking to nail people over violations right now. Instead, it appears that they are heavily banking on people just complying with the order. Now, the gist of the orders is don't leave home if you don't have to, creating a pretty empty-looking city today. But there are still several exemptions listed for why you could be out. And there are so many business exemptions listed, it's hard for us to definitively say what is closed. And as for enforcing it, neither SAPD or BCSO will be out looking for people to pull over, looking for violations. Commissioner Kevin Wolf noting yesterday during a commissioner's court meeting that they want people to comply on their own.
Take care of yourself, take care of your family, and take care of your other citizens. don't be stupid about this. If it comes to a time where there has to be some level of enforcement because people are not complying, we will make that decision as the executive branch of government here locally when that time comes. It is not here now.
Though we haven't yet heard of any citations, just warnings in both the city and the county, law enforcement will still respond to complaints of people violating the order. They'll be focusing their efforts on bigger issues, though, like businesses not closing down as directed or not following proper social distancing guidelines. So if you're in the city or the county and are concerned about a violation, depending on where you live, let either SAPD or the sheriff's office know. Their non-emergency lines are on your screen, and we have them on our website as well. Now, though it is definitely a lot emptier, we are still seeing a lot of people out today, and our crew has been seeing businesses that we're surprised to see open. For a list of businesses that should be closed and more information, you can find that on our website, KSAT.com. Live on the North Side, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Garrett. And while the coronavirus is forcing us to keep our distance from one another, it's also bringing people together in more ways than one. Right now on our website, you can read some of the inspiring stories we've been sharing with you all week. And if you'd like to stay up to date with everything else related to COVID-19, we have a map tracking cases by county and a global map tracking the number of active and recovered cases and cases that have ended in death. Just go to ksat.com/coronavirus. We'll be right back. Live look outside with live cam. Really foggy start to the morning, but man, that fog burned off and it's turned out very nice.
Yeah, and the morning fog looks like it's going to be a trend here over the next couple of mornings, and I think it's going to be a little more stubborn by the end of the work week, by Friday. So it's going to be a little more difficult to break out into that afternoon sunshine. Let's take a look outside right now. We've got that sunshine and we're at 86 degrees. Now the humidity increased rather quickly earlier this morning, leading to the fog, and also temperatures instead of in the 90s, in the mid to upper 80s right now locally. So the dew point is 65 with that southeasterly wind at 10 miles per hour. Looking elsewhere, 90 Bandera and Comfort, 86 Pleasanton. For the most part, locally, we're in the mid 80s. You get off to the west, Del Rio's at 96 degrees, and that's one of the hot spots. Dryden at 97, and even Cotulla at 90, Carrizo Springs 95. So really feeling the heat west and southwest of San Antonio. But we're starting to feel that mugginess. We had a break in the humidity this time yesterday, and the moisture really surged back in quickly late last night and early this morning, leading to some of that fog. And get used to the humidity for the next couple of days. But early Saturday morning, a cold front's going to hit, and it's going to sweep it all away. So throughout the weekend, you'll notice the air feeling a little more crisp and not quite as muggy and sticky out there. Now, with that humidity in the air, we are expecting another round of fog tomorrow morning. And looking at our futurecast for visibility, we anticipate the fog to start settling in after midnight, maybe 2-3 a.m., and then becoming more widespread and a little bit thicker as we go through the morning. So by 6 a.m. and even 8 a.m. near sunrise, we could have some visibilities below a mile in parts of South Texas, especially along and east of I-35. And tomorrow we anticipate the fog to burn off, and by the noon hour, be nice and sunny. It's Friday where I think it could be a little more stubborn and will be hard to really see that abundance of afternoon sunshine. Here's our satellite and radar. Nothing on the radar, but as you see the satellite loop again, you'll notice some of the leftover fog earlier this morning along and east of I-35 burning off. Quiet across the state, no big weather feature other than this big upper level high, big blue H, giving us our quiet weather pattern, our abundance of afternoon sunshine, and unseasonably warm conditions as well. We're running already 10 degrees above average for this time of year. Now in the Pacific Northwest and parts of the West Coast, there's some good moisture. It's nice to see California and the higher elevations there getting it this time of year before we get into the dry season. Well, this little dip in the flow, that disturbance, that's going to help develop a cold front in the coming days here as we get on into late Friday, early Saturday. And that dip in the upper level flow will develop that cold front. It's going to move through early Saturday morning, dropping our temperatures for the upcoming weekend and sweeping away the humidity as well. I wish I could tell you it would bring with it some good soaking beneficial rain. It's just, unfortunately, maybe a 20% chance. That's the best we could do. So a few isolated showers early Saturday, otherwise a sunny day. And then Monday's really our best shot, but even then, it's looking isolated at a 30% chance. So despite a shift in our weather pattern, unfortunately, we're not looking at a good soaking rainfall anytime soon. So morning fog tomorrow at 66 degrees, and then starting to clear out at noon, 80, then 88, the high temperature tomorrow afternoon. Friday, I think a little more cloud cover than sunshine as a result of the stubborn morning clouds, and that slight chance of a few showers Saturday morning. Otherwise, the weekend looking pleasant, a mixture of sun and clouds, and highs anywhere from the mid-70s to right near 80 degrees. And again, just a slight chance of a few storms as we get into Monday. We'll be back coming right up.
The lines were long and the demand for food was great. Problem here is there was little effort at social distancing, so the Balcones Heights police chief shut it down. Then a ripple effect. The San Antonio Food Bank later emailed its partner agencies explaining a shift in operations. Starting Saturday, it will no longer participate in individual agency on-site mobile or food fare distributions. Instead, they'll service those in need through county megasites.
We do have a lot of food distributions that are going out this week. After this week, we have to shut everything down.
It's a blow to dozens of nonprofits like Eagles Flight, which alone in one day last week handed out food to more than 2,000 people in Edgewood ISD. The Edgewood district is one of the poorest in the whole county, and it really depends on food bank donations and Eagles Flight for food distribution. Since no one's quite sure how these new rules are going to be interpreted and enacted, there's a lot of worry in this neighborhood.
So if she's worried, then I'm worried.
And she is worried, along with the other food bank partner agencies, who say while their pantries can stay open under the new plan, they'll no longer be reaching as deep as they have been into their communities without drive-up food giveaways.
We serve about 200 people a day through our food pantry. We're going to be so limited on what we can do and who we can reach.
A spokesperson from the San Antonio Food Bank told me that in light of the food hoarding that's taken place and the need for these new safety precautions, it has to be more strategic with resources. It is now asking nonprofits to pre-register their food clients in order to qualify for these huge county mega site giveaways that are now in the works. They'll be announced soon. Additionally, the food bank has announced a few lunch and neighborhood meal giveaways for the next month. They've just scheduled that. You can find a list on KSAT.com. We'll be right back. Thanks so much for watching the News at 5 with us.
World News is up next. We'll see you back here at 6 o'clock.